if you're a jazz guitarist, then I think you'll agree that playing solo jazz arrangements is one of the most fun things you can do on the instrument. It's certainly one of those things which you can't do on other instruments like you can do on the guitar, being that we can add chords and we can add fills and bass notes. So I think it's a wonderful thing to do. But with that being said, there are some common mistakes which I always see students do when learning solo jazz guitar tunes. So I thought I'd share each of those in this video to help you out on your journey as a solo jazz guitarist. So, what are the top mistakes that we make when we're playing solo jazz guitar arrangements? Okay, the first one, I'm just going to use the song Autumn Leaves to demonstrate all of these, but the first one is only playing out of time, only playing rubato. So it's great to, when you're first learning a jazz standard, to play things out of time because it can actually sound musical, and at the same time you've then got more time to actually get your fingers round some of these grips. So you could be playing an arrangement like Autumn Leaves, and you can play the entire thing out of time. And it sounds wonderful, but going beyond that, you want to try and play the thing in time so that you can then play. So you've got every possible way of playing the song covered. It's going to give you more options. If you're learning a tune like this that you're going to play probably for several years, then you don't want to play the same way every time. And it's a tune, particularly one like Autumn Leaves, is one that is played in many different ways. So being able to play it out of time, being able to play it in tempo, having these different ways of playing it underneath your belt is good. So first I would recommend, say, starting playing the thing out of time just to get your fingers around it, but then you should try and increase the tempo as you begin to feel more confident with it. So that's the first point, only playing the song out of time or rubato. So the second point, and the second mistake that I see many jazz guitarists make when playing solo tunes, is they don't add enough bass notes. So it's quite easy to do this type of thing when you're working on a chord melody where you play maybe only on the top strings, which that's a great, again, as an exercise if you're trying to figure out drop 2 chords or extended chords or something like that on the higher strings. That's a great thing to do, but the only problem with that, if you're actually performing that piece, is that it's missing all these nice bass notes as well. So you want to make sure that you add some bass notes where possible, whether that's in the means of just doing in between some chords, or maybe even extending chords. You could do either one of those. Okay, so that's the second mistake, is not adding enough bass notes to fill out the sound of the arrangement. Okay, so that's the second point. Moving on from that, the third point is that you don't know the melody and the chords as separate entities. So when you're learning any standard, regardless of whether you want to make it a full-on solo jazz guitar piece or you're going to just play it as kind of a fast single line piece, you should always learn the chords and the melody separate, because you don't want to be locked in to playing something that could be very harmonically dense and beautiful, but then not being able to play it any other way. So again, going back to Autumn Leaves, say if my first phrase, say if I did some nice substitutions to this, maybe if I did or if I played in sixes there as I did, then that's great, that sounds particularly good when you're playing out of time. But at the same time, if I know the melody and the chords separate, maybe I'm hearing it a different way. Maybe I want to play it like that, or unless I know the entire thing as a separate entity, I need to feel confident playing the melody. Added 2 chords there at the end, but you get the gist. I can play the melody as a separate thing, and then I can play the chords separate as well. So having those separate means I can combine them at will or keep them separate, and it also means that if I'm playing with a combo or whatever and I want to play, say, with a trio, bass and drums, then if I'm playing this kind of harmonically dense thing with bass and drums, then that's going to sound cumbersome and not really musically effective. So that is that point, keeping the melody and chords as separate entities. Really important thing to consider when you're working with these solo jazz guitar tunes. So the next point, going back to my list here, is that students only stick to the original arrangement that's on the lead sheet. Okay, so again, that's something that if you're a beginner, I think that's fine to do as an exercise, but once you feel confident with that, I really recommend mixing things up. So Autumn Leaves, for example, the standard form that you might see for that is AA-BA or AA-BC, or usually AA-BA2, because that last section is not quite the same as the first one. But who's to say you can't mix that up? Maybe so there I basically just started playing from the bridge out of time, and then I played the last section as well and introduced time after that. And this is things you hear people do all the time. You know, if you listen to, say, Keith Jarrett play All the Things You Are, he starts with the bridge there. I'm sure there's an arrangement of Autumn Leaves where someone starts with a bridge as well, which just escaped my mind at the minute. But these are things you can do. The arrangements are really just suggestions on the lead sheet, and you don't have to be stuck to playing them in that way. Okay, so that's that point. Sticking only to the lead sheet arrangement, which is really just a suggestion rather than a dictation. Okay, so that's that point. The final point really is sticking to the original harmony. Again, that lead sheet, it's just a suggestion. The harmony there is a suggestion, and while some arrangements sound beautiful with the original harmony and there's not much we need to do, others may present something that you could do, may present their own challenges to make things sound more interesting. Like, for example, 2 points in Autumn Leaves, where you could apply that. The very first phrase, right there, there's various ways we can harmonise that. We can harmonise that first part of the melody in intervals like that, and then go to a chord. Maybe you want to put some chords underneath there. The end goal is really to get to A minor. Maybe I want to add a nice extension to this A minor there, just to change it up a little bit. Maybe I want to add some substitute chords, and this is really if I'm playing more out of time than in time, but I could start with maybe a B minor, B minor 11, I could go to an E 9, and then I could go to an E flat major 7, which is like a tritone thing, and then I could go to that that chord as well. So those are a few substitute chords that you could add if you were feeling like you wanted to experiment with things a little bit, just to mix them up. And there's various points, you know, across the tune where you could do that to also keep things interesting. So that's the last point, is sticking to the original harmony. If there's a chord that you don't like, then find another way to harmonise it with a voicing that you do like and one that you're going to enjoy playing. There's no point playing a chord just because it says it on the lead sheet. If you don't like it, you should then feel free to change it and experiment and get one that you like. Okay, so that's that point. The final point is there's always got to be a bit of a shameless ebook plug here, but the final point is not getting my Beginner Jazz Guitar Chords book. Now, this book, guys, if you're new to jazz guitar, it's going to give you all the information that you need to know to get started playing chord melodies, comping, understanding chord harmonies, the various chords that you need. If you are new to jazz, you need to get this book, and it's linked to in the description below, so if you want to go and check that out, then please do. It's got, I think, over about 130 pages. It's a PDF. It's got loads of audio examples which you can download. That's going to help you get started with comping, and even you're going to begin to look at things like chord melody as well, or the chords that you need to play chord melody within that book. So go and check that out. That's the last point. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give this video a like. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel as well. And is there any points that I've missed out? Is there any mistakes that you sometimes make, or that you've seen others make when playing chord melodies? If I have missed any points out, then please share them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.